Guys, listen. You're not gonna believe what happened in school today. You're not gonna believe it. So we just had our first fire drill of the year back on Tuesday. And guess what happened today? Something I never thought would happen. Someone pulled the fire alarm. Let me tell you the story. So it happened during my lunch period. And for my lunch period, I have first lunch and I go to the auditorium. And this happened, right as it was time for us to go to our third period class. So basically, I heard that a kid pulled the fire alarm because he or she didn't want to go to their next class. And we all feel that way where we don't want to go to our next class. I can't blame them for having that feeling, but they did something very, very wrong. They pulled the fire alarm. The principal even made an announcement at the end of the day today saying, pulling a fire alarm is a felony and will get you arrested. And that's very true. Alright, so again, I'll tell you about what happened. I wasn't able to record anything, unfortunately. I did record the fire drill we had the other day. If you haven't seen that video yet, go check it out. It's the video before this one here. So make sure you check that out. Anyways, yeah. Someone pulled the fire alarm today because they didn't want to go to their third period class. And basically, it was while I was leaving the auditorium, I was getting ready to go to my wood tech class, and all of a sudden I heard the fire alarms go off, and I saw the strobes flashing, and I was like, what the heck? Because I knew it wasn't a drill. I knew. You know how I knew? Because I wouldn't expect them to do a fire drill during passing time. That never happens. But then I saw the pull station, and it looked like it was pulled. That's right, because at my school the pull stations are Firelight BG12s. So I saw the pull station, it said it was activated. So that means someone pulled that pull station in the auditorium right towards the exit. So I saw all the alarms flash in the auditorium. There's like 8 alarms in there around that. I saw all of them flashing. It was pretty freaking red because all the strobes are synchronized. Seeing all of them flash at once, that was so cool. Anyways, moving more on to the point here. So we had to exit from the auditorium. We had to go outside, go all the way to the parking lot area, and it took the fire department probably like 10 minutes to get there. It took them a little while. But they did it, and while I was outside I could see some fire alarms from the inside flashing. That was pretty red. That's how I knew they were going off still. And a police car showed up first, and then a few moments later, I hear the fire truck sirens, and I see the fire truck come. There's actually several fire trucks that came, and they went inside. The fire chief or whatever, the fire marshal, the fire department or whatever, they had to go inside and shut the alarm off, and I believe they reset the pull station also. I didn't see that part yet, but I'm pretty sure they did reset it. They probably reset the pull station, and then they silenced the fire alarms, and then they turned them off. But we were outside for probably like a good maybe 25 minutes around that time. It was pretty crazy. Something I never thought would happen. Alright? This is something I never thought would happen. I thought people were smart enough to never pull the fire alarm at my school. Ooh, I don't want to go to class, so I'm just going to waste time and pull the fire alarm. Beep! 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 Attention please, there has been a report of an emergency. Proceed calmly to the nearest exit and leave the building immediately. Do not use the elevators. Use stairwells where necessary. All handicapped occupants shall use the building evacuation plan. Beep! 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 Attention please, it was like that. That's what the alarm at my school sounds like. And they thought it was funny to pull that. Guess what? It's not funny. That person probably learned their lesson today. They probably learned their lesson. And you know, I really hope they did, because pulling a fire alarm is a huge felony. You're gonna get in huge trouble for it. I bet the person who pulled the fire alarm, they probably got in gigantic trouble. And I hope they did, because it taught them a lesson to never do that again. You know? It taught them a good lesson. This is why you never ever pull fire alarms unless there's a real emergency like a fire. If not, then don't ever pull it. You don't just pull the fire alarm all because you don't want to go to class. You know? You don't do that. You don't just pull it for a prank. I also heard it could have been pulled for a prank too. Not good. You never pull it, you know, because you think it's funny to scare people with the fire alarm. No, it's never good, you know. For a prank, you don't want to go to class, to scare people. None of those 3 reasons are acceptable reasons to pull the fire alarm. You only pull it if there's a fire. Only in a fire. You know, I already made a video on this, and maybe I'll make another one. But it looks like the person who pulled the fire alarm at my school today, they didn't watch my video about never pulling fire alarms for fun and never tampering with fire alarm equipment. The good thing is, none of the fire alarms at my school have been tampered with, from what I know, and I hope that never happens. But today, someone did pull the alarm. You know? It's crazy. It was like I was literally leaving the auditorium, and all of a sudden I hear beep, beep. I could hear the alarms go off, and I was like, what the heck is going on, you know? It's exactly what I was thinking. I was wondering what the heck was going on, because, you know, normally a fire drill, they wouldn't do it, like, at the start of passing time. Usually that never happens. So I kind of knew it was a false alarm, but then again, I saw the pull station, it was pulled, so then I thought, uh-oh, someone pulled the alarm, because the pull station, it literally said activated, so someone did pull it. And the fire alarm wasn't that loud either. You know, even though I was in the auditorium and they have a lot of alarms in there, you know, you would think it would be loud. It actually wasn't too bad. It wasn't. It wasn't that loud. It didn't startle me either. You know, like, I didn't jump when it went off. You know, it didn't make me jump at all because it wasn't that loud at all. But it did make me think, what the heck is going on? Why are the alarms going off? That's what I was thinking. And why did they go off? Because someone pulled the freaking alarm. Someone pulled it. You know? All because they either were doing it because they think it's funny. Oh, hey, let's pull the fire alarm. Number 1, let's scare people. Number 1, you know. Number 2, I don't want to go to class, so I'm going to pull the fire alarm. Beep, 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 beep. Like, come on, don't do that. You realize what you're doing there is a felony? The fire department have to respond to that false alarm that you pulled when there could be a real emergency somewhere else. But they can't go to that because they gotta respond to the false alarm that you pulled. That is not okay. So, if the person who pulled the fire alarm at my school is watching this right now, oh, I hope you learned your lesson. What you did was a huge felony, and I hope you got some nice severe consequences for it. It's going to teach you a lesson to never do that again unless there's a fire. If not, then don't pull it again. I kind of have a feeling it will happen again, but I'm not too sure. You know, there is this pull station in the auditorium. It doesn't even have a stopper cover on it. You guys know not all the pull stations at my school have stopper covers. Most of them do, but the one in the auditorium that was pulled, that one doesn't have a stopper cover. You know, they gotta put a stopper on that so that doesn't happen again. You know? This is why pull stations need stoppers, because it reduces the amount of false fire alarms that are pulled every year. So never pull fire alarms unless there's a fire, guys. Don't do it. It's not a smart thing to do. Smart people never do that. So the person who did that, they're an idiot. I even heard it might have been an accident, but I'm thinking more likely it was either a prank or the person pulled it because they don't want to go to class. Not good. Not to mention, pulling the fire alarm doesn't necessarily get you out of class. Yeah, you know, it might get you out of class for a little while, but eventually you'll still have to go back to class. So no, pulling the alarm is not going to solve the problem. All that's going to do is get you in big trouble. That's all it's going to do. So don't do it. Don't end up like that person that pulled the fire alarm at my school today. You don't want to end up like him or her. It's not smart. You know that pull station in the auditorium there next to the exit? There's a lot of people by there. And I've been worrying for the past few days that somebody would pull it. And today it happened. Literally as, you know, I was leaving the auditorium going to my wood tech class, all of a sudden the fire alarms went off. Someone pulled the alarm. Like, you know, you don't do that unless there's a damn emergency. God, you know, I really hope that person learns their lesson. I really do. You know? And I hope all the pull stations get stopper covers installed on them. So this doesn't happen again. Because it's not good. Alright? So if you think it's funny to pull fire alarms, or you think it's funny to tamper with fire alarms, or you think doing both things are funny, shame on you. You need to rethink your thoughts. Also, if you have pulled a fire alarm in the past, or if you do pull fire alarms in public a lot, then you need to stop doing that right now. Because you're going to end up, most likely if you already did it, you probably already ended up like that person who pulled the fire alarm at my school today. You probably ended up just like them. Alright? Do you have a fear of getting arrested like me? Do you have a fear of getting in trouble? Do you have a fear of getting fined? Then don't pull the fire alarm unless there's a real fire. Got it? I hope so. I know all of my subscribers on here know this very well. And they're also here to teach you to never pull fire alarms unless there's a real fire. This is the first time someone has ever pulled a fire alarm at school in, like, I don't know, a few years. I remember back in when I was in 2nd grade. I believe this was back in June of 2013. I was only 8 years old. I can't talk. I'm sorry. I was only 8 years old at the time. And it was the end of the school year. And the fire alarms went off because a preschooler pulled it. You know, they didn't know better, but they probably did learn their lesson. I remember back in 1st grade, I was in the library. I believe this was 2012, so I was only 7 years old at the time. This was back when my Uncle Roger was still alive, but one of the classmates, he pulled the fire alarm in the library. And, of course, he was told to never do it again. I don't think he ever did it again. That's the good thing. But it was still bad that he did it. It was bad that the preschooler pulled the fire alarm, and it was especially bad that that person pulled the fire alarm at my school today. That person is probably around the same age as me. Who knows? Apparently they're either not smart enough or they thought it was funny to do that. They really need to think again. It's not funny to put someone else's life at risk. You know? It's not funny to send the fire department to something that's not even an emergency. You do realize that there might actually be a real emergency somewhere else. And because you pulled the fire alarm today, if you're the person who did it at my school and you're watching this, that's who I'm talking to. The fire department are now not able to respond to that real emergency because you pulled the alarm. They have to respond to the false alarm. That's why you only pull it when there's a fire. You only pull it if you have permission to during a fire drill. You know? If it's your own fire alarm system or whatever. But if not, then don't do it. Be smart. Don't be stupid. Don't be like that idiot at my school today. Don't be like him or her. I don't know if it was a boy or a girl or not, but not a smart choice. Don't be like that person. You don't want to get in trouble. There's my fire alarm right there. Right there's my alarm. Let's pretend I'm sleeping right now. Actually, let's pretend I'm in school right now, right? And I'm in one of the classrooms, and the fire alarm's right there. And I'm eating lunch. Picture this. That's what happened at school today. But it was not a drill, it was a false alarm. Some idiot pulled it because they thought it was a good idea. Again, if this was a real classroom, you know, and I was eating lunch, it would have been the same thing at school. Which it was, that's what happened at school today. False alarm. When you hear that sound, when you hear that alarm go off, you must immediately leave the building. But never be one of those individuals who pulls it for fun, or for a prank, or because they don't want to go to class. Don't do that. You only pull those if there's a real emergency, or if the fire department, you know, gives you permission. If they say, oh, you can pull it for the fire drill today, then you can do it. But don't just pull it because you think it's a good idea. It's not a good idea. Alright? So, hopefully you learned something today. If you're smart like me, I hope you enjoyed this video. And for all of you idiots who pull fire alarms and you think it's funny, you better grow up. Or else you're going to get in trouble again. Alright? Take my words very seriously. And I have like over 500 subscribers, and they're just as smart as I am, and they're gonna also tell you to never pull the fire alarm unless there's a real fire. That's how you're gonna get in big trouble. You could even get arrested, you never know. It's very, you got a good chance it'll happen to you. Could have happened to the person today. They could have just been like, why'd you pull that alarm? You're in big trouble. They might have warned him to not do it again. Or maybe he did get arrested. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I know he probably did get in some sort of trouble. I know he did. Because he's old enough to know you're not supposed to do that kind of stuff. He's that age. I don't know if he's a freshman, sophomore, junior, or a senior. Whatever grade he's in. Even if he's 9th grade. He should still be smart enough to not pull false fire alarms for fun. But I hope he learned his lesson. Remember to only pull fire alarms in a real fire.